Morning, YouTube. This is going to be my introduction into working on the Mr.Brog pipe kits that you can buy that are pre-drilled, both in the bowl and the draft hole. These are going to be the pear kits, not the briar kits. I know they do have briar kits available. A couple things, I did shoot some last night. After watching them, I'm going to add a couple things before it starts. One of them is I'm not a professional pipe maker, so I've only made a few out of mahogany, a few out of oak, messed around with some cobs and a couple briar pipes. It's not qualifying me as an expert. So, two, I've never made one from a kit, so this is just kind of how I chose a couple ways to attack it. If you only have limited access to certain things, one being a drill press, and the second being files. So my curiosity is how easy are these going to be to work with mostly just files. If that's all you got, I'm kind of curious how long it would take and how hard it's going to be, especially with the pear wood. That being said, you'll see me start out explaining how I do things. Unfortunately, I can't show you why I'm doing them because I don't have a tripod and I have really no way. I need both hands when I'm working on them. So I'm going to try and go through and explain the best I can. Won't be able to get any actual live footage, but hopefully my explanations will help. So like I said, you're going to see me start out with using the drill press with a sanding drum, and then I did a real rough out with that, and then I was going to do a little more, but I decided that to be in fairness for this review, or for seeing how it would go if you didn't have tools, I decided to finish it up with files. So, without further ado, oh, and another thing too is, yeah, you're gonna, like I said, this is the way I chose to do it. You guys might be able to think of a better way. Sorry if I might be a little preachy on a couple of safety things, but you know, that's for those newer guys that might not know. A couple of you shop guys are gonna be well aware of what's going on. So, with that being said, let's get to it.
Alright guys, welcome to the dungeon. It's actually a mini workshop I have set up in my basement. And sorry if I'm shaky, I don't have a tripod down here. This is just kind of my little workspace during the winter months where I can't get outside into the shed. And this is going to be where we're going to start on the Mr.Brog pipe. And what you're going to have to do first is you're going to have to get this ring drawn on the top, and that's going to let you know kind of where to start as far as rounding it out. There's probably, what you're going to see in this video is going to be how I'm going to do this. If you know of a better way, or somebody else knows of a better way, either comment or just do it the way you've always done it. So obviously my method isn't exactly perfect, and if you don't mind the various projects laying around, but so to get this circle on here, to figure that out, and I'm sure there's a couple of different ways to go about doing it. The way I did it, I just basically made a tool, because if you don't have a tool, what do? You make one. So this is my expensive tool I made right here. And all it is a dowel with a pencil on it. And basically I didn't have the right size dowel to fit into the chamber to center it, so I added some tape to it. And what you're going to notice is it's kind of stepped up, and that's where it stops when it sits in there. And then where I made that stop, I have that pencil set out far enough to where I want the rim of my bowl to be made. Not saying that this is going to be the final diameter of my bowl. You can always make it smaller if I want, and I might as I go. But so I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to set it in there and show you kind of how it functions if you guys want to make one. Alright, so I know it's not the best filming here, but as you can see how it sits, that dowel that is made more or thicker in diameter that centers itself on the bowl. And then you can see the pencil sits right there. And all you do is then turn this with one hand while holding the block in the other hand, and you get your circle. And it'll give you the same distance all the way around that hole. Like I said, it might not be the best way, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people that could think of something better to do with it. But it's just the way I came up with it, and it seems to work pretty good. So we'll move on. So I'm going to take this back out and show you how we're going to attack this bad boy. Yep. Sorry for all these flares that are probably coming up as I pause and move on. But here is my drill press. There's nothing special about this drill press. It was a cheap one I bought years ago. It's a tabletop one from Harbor Freight. I think it was like 40 bucks at the time. It has served me really, really well now that I knock all this sawdust around. So it looks like it's snowing in here now. Boy, that looks terrible on camera. Anyhow, I have a wheel on here, which I'm probably going to have to replace from my last project. A little sanding wheel. And I believe this is 50 grit. It's a 1-inch diameter sanding drum just chucked up in here. And what I'll do is, luckily enough, if you notice, they make this block, it's pretty flat on the bottom. So I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to set it up to start on this. So you're going to get another little flash when I unpause the video again. And there we go. So what I do is I kind of just set it up. And I kind of eyeball it. And I'm not going to want to take a big swipe with this, okay? When you start, I'm not going to try and hog out half the block. So I'm just kind of setting it to just take off some, okay? And then I'm just going to go follow this around. And it seems like it would take a while, but with this spinning, and like I said, it's like a 50 or 40 grit, it's really gonna start taking off material pretty fast. So if this is the route you go, if you have a drill press, this works out really well, especially with this block being flat on the bottom, because it'll just allow you to ease into it as you work around. Okay. A couple things. Okay, this is going to be spinning. Like I said, this is a 50 grit or a 40 grit. I'd have to look. So while this is spinning, I'm going to get, even though this isn't a saw or this isn't a router or you're not on a lathe here, you're going to want it while this is spinning. If you haven't worked with these before and this is your first time, you're going to want to ease into it. Okay, don't just come in and jab the corner on it because it's going to want to throw it. So you're going to want to kind of come into it and work towards the spinning, okay? So if I'm going to work this corner back here, I want to round it out, I'm going to slide through it like this, okay? So you're going to come through like that. You're not going to come into it directly in the corner because, like I said, even though this is not an intimidating piece of machinery, this can get grabbed. So, I mean, if you start working it the way it's turning, it will grab this and it is going to throw it or try to throw it. Or, you know, a couple things that could happen is you could hit this sanding wheel. Like I said, even though it's not a saw blade, it's going to give you a pretty good how's your father if you hit this with your finger or your skin or something. Or if you're holding on to it, you could throw it and you could pinch your finger in one of these, okay? So, I mean, I know we're all adults and stuff, but this is for anybody that's maybe never played with this. Just a little word of caution. You're going to want to go in and ease around to it. So if it's spinning this way, you're going to want to go into the spin, not with it, because it's going to want to throw it on you. Because it's not exactly a big piece you're trying to hold on to here. So, I mean, I'm not trying to intimidate anybody that's not familiar with power tools, but I'm not going to say, you know, there isn't safety concerns, all right? But we're all big boys here, so just, you know, be smart about it. The second thing I'm going to tell you before, when I start too, is if you do this method, and you should really do this if you do any method, either if you're going to turn one on a lathe too, is make sure you're wearing some kind of mask, because you're going to make a lot of sawdust. And if you don't, you're going to blow your nose later, and it is just going to come out. Even if you're going to do this on a briar block, you're going to blow your nose, and it's going to come out all brown. So just, do yourself a favor in your lungs and your nose and your sinuses, especially if you have bad sinuses like I do. Just wear some kind of mask. All right. So I'm going to start on this, and I'll start it again once I start getting it rounded out.